Chiro here for Umbra Games with a review of Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, the digital-only sequel to 2010's Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light. In Temple of Osiris, Lara and rival tomb raider Carter Bell stumble across some ancient Egyptian tombs, where they're cursed by the god Set, and Horus and Isis appear to tell the duo that to remove the curse and help them defeat Set, they must retrieve the pieces of Osiris' body spread across several tombs. The Temple of Osiris, like the Guardian of Light, is an isometric, very nearly dungeon crawler with prominent puzzle elements. Playing solo, you take control of Lara, and you can have multiple friends join in taking control of the gods Horus and Isis, as well as Carter. There are only two sets of abilities, as the gods have their Staff of Osiris Sealing Beam and Bubble Shield, and the mortals have their grappling hooks. All characters have access to all the other firearms you obtain, and also have the remote trigger bombs, a staple of puzzle solving in this game. The level setup this time is open world as opposed to the sequential stages of the first. Generally speaking, only one stage is open at a time, with an occasional choice of the next two presented. Oftentimes, you have to make a change in the environment to access the new area, which are usually led to by story and cinematic instruction. Once you enter the level, you are shown a list of criteria for obtaining bonuses, including a time trial, breaking X number of jars, killing Y number of enemies in spike traps, or sometimes just random things like blowing enemies into a central pit or making a boss eat his minions. Rewards for each of these things include new weapons, health and ammo maximum upgrades, as well as new gear. The equipment setup has more slots now, allowing Lara and company to equip an amulet, 2 rings, and an outfit, instead of just the old single relic. Basic rings and amulets usually offer a plus to one thing like bomb radius or weapon damage, and a minus to another thing like bomb radius or weapon damage. New gear can be purchased, lottery-like, from chests scattered everywhere through the level hub, as well as in the treasure room of the temple after defeating each level. You can use the jewels you get from killing enemies and finding hidden stashes to make these purchases. The chest costs anywhere from 100 to 1,000 gems, and produce a seemingly randomly generated item with a variety of bonuses. Some of the epic and legendary items will have a lot of bonuses and fewer negatives, but it definitely is luck of the draw. The problem is, overall the effects of equipment aren't really all that palpable, and if you were to go through the game without changing any equipment, I'm not really sure you'd even notice. Similarly, firearms have 3 stats on them: fire rate, damage, and ammo consumption. There's a ridiculous amount of guns available, but again, there just isn't much difference between upgrades of the same weapon type. Going from shotgun to heavy shotgun might give you +1 weapon damage and a +1 to ammo consumption, but most enemies go down really quickly, so you're not going to feel a 10% increase in firepower. The boss fights were actually a lot of fun, and most had an interesting mechanic, which I definitely appreciate. Sitting there and just shooting something over and over with tons of HP can get old, and there weren't really any instances of that. In fact, most had a puzzle element to it, figuring out exactly what you could use in the environment to help you do damage. One disappointment with Osiris is the fewer number of challenge tombs. These are some of my favorite parts of the first game, and the tombs would also be hidden within levels. In Temple, there are just 5, and they're on the overworld map, and the challenge level is significantly lower. In fact, overall, the game's puzzles felt a bit easier. I applaud Crystal Dynamics' design on one facet because they're basically making 2 versions of the game as they develop. Similar to Guardian of Light, there are some puzzles where you need Laura's grappling hook shot, and for another player to walk on it like a tightrope to solve a puzzle. But when you're playing alone, obviously she can't do both, so the level changes to accommodate the additional players. As mentioned, they increased to 4 players with this game, but still seem to keep to just the 1 or 2+ players in their design, thus the reason for only making 2 different movesets. Obviously, it would get ridiculously complicated. But it feels like maybe they bit off more than they could chew by trying to shove in the availability of 4-player co-op, as it feels like the levels just kinda lack the tightness, and things just feel a bit watered down. More players also hurt in trying to obtain each level's bronze, silver, and gold ranking, as even with 2 of us, I think we only had the points for one of us to reach gold once or twice. The rest ended oftentimes with both of us having bronze, or maybe one getting silver. Now the competition to try and get a higher score than the other was fun, and maybe we just weren't good enough at the game to keep our multiplier up, which is consecutive kills without taking damage, which increases your score for kills and pickups. We made it through the game in about 6 hours. Obviously, there's a bunch of extra content in the replay value of trying to find all the hidden red skulls in every area and working towards completing all the challenges, but of the 2 games, I would find myself gravitating back towards going for 100% completion of Guardian of Light if I had the choice between replaying one or the other. This isn't to say Temple of Osiris is bad, it's definitely a good time. It's just a bit less innovative of a sequel. Rated as an isometric shooter, puzzle platformer hybrid, Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris hits a 58 out of 100. This is Jiro for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching. Working on pumping out reviews weekly, please feel free to subscribe to the channel for updates, or follow me on Twitter @Umbra Games.